All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 7th live stream on my channel. If some of you haven't noticed, I did change the name of the channel. I changed it like about a week ago to Thea's Tap Out, and we had talked about it briefly. But I also changed the handle to match the channel name. And there's a reason for that that we'll get into. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about the impersonation account that was created for me, which for which I responded by changing my handle. The other thing we'll talk about is a burden shifting fallacy, and I did not want to keep talking about the monkey boy, but he did give a good example of it, like he always does. And so we'll use one of the threads from there. And Blarg also mentioned that he wanted to talk about the idea of kinds that creationists bring in because they don't know how taxonomy works and how species categorization works. So we'll go through that and anything else that might come up. And on the stage, I have with me Blarg, John Clark, and Steve-O. Hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hello.
And it looks like in the live chats, we have Miranda and Tilting and Tuna Man. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us. And John, I don't know if you saw my comment, but I did give Miranda a heads up about your jokes. She missed the joke that you had made when we discussed the topic about kinds.
Oh, yes, Miranda. Whenever a creationist brings up the argument about kinds, I like to tell them that their argument is kind of dumb. But I see. How much does Santa pay? How much Santa? How much does Santa pay to park his sleigh? Nothing. It's on the house.
Yes. Good one, Miranda.
Well done.
Oh,
well done, Miranda. Well done.
And Miranda knew that yours will be worse. So.
No. Look, I love it when somebody can come up with a worse dad joke than I do.
All right. So we'll start off with speaking of dad jokes. Oh, I wish I could just quickly bring that up. But
hey, Pastor's here too.
He's got one.
Oh boy. But
how you doing, Pastor?
There was a video debunking what is that guy from Matt Powell, and how Matt Powell was getting obviously he gets evolution wrong, but he was talking about like rock formation, like how granite rock formation disproves evolution or whatever. So I had made a comment that Matt was taking evolution for granted, and for once it was actually like a pun that actually was actually apropos, because he specifically mentioned granite like as if it was an evolution. So candy cane for sale, mint condition. Nice.
Is this just gonna be a joke stream again?
Maybe.
Now, in all fairness, most of my jokes are just 2/3 of a pun, just PU.
That wasn't too bad.
Thank you.
But that's the first I've heard that. I haven't heard that joke before, but that was a good one. All right. So I guess our discussion will be occasionally interspersed with these kind of jokes from the live chat. But let's go to the first topic at hand. I presume Ook will be joining us later, maybe just running late. Actually, this isn't the one. So, as some of you may have noticed, someone created this account QC-E5R, and when I first saw the comment here, I was actually thought it was mine because I do have like another alt account that has a dash, and some 3 letters, and I couldn't remember what those 3 letters were. So I thought maybe like someone had actually hacked my account and had posted from my account, and so I started like checking, and then when I looked at what my actual alt account last 3 letters are, it's not E5R. So I figured there was someone impersonating it. Just having that profile, stealing that profile picture, kind of makes it more of an impersonation than just the other impersonation that's done for Holger. I think he said with a hard G. I don't remember now. I think, yeah. This other account, this is more obviously a fake account, but before Holger had this profile picture, and he had to change his profile picture because of this, but it made it more confusing by having that profile photo. So I did report this account. I don't think it's gonna do much. I think YouTube will take seriously, impersonation of accounts if someone is impersonating a larger account, not just any old accounts that people have. Because I know Blarg, I think you and Nuke have also been impersonated, but what has happened to those?
They were back in the era when YouTube actually used to enforce its terms of use. So, yeah, they didn't last long. And I'm not sure whether it was because it was impersonation or whether it was because it came under bullying or whether it was just because they said shit like this that we see on the screen. And that got bounced because of that. So I'm not sure what got rid of them. But, yeah, they all went. I had 4 or 5, and Ook had 1 more than me, which was really annoying. So yeah, he got the win on the number of impersonation accounts. But how triggered do you have to be to go along and create an impersonation account, or 4 or 5 or 6 of them?
Yeah,
you just go,
More
wow.
accounts, the thinner the skin.
You just know you're doing something right when a troll gets that upset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so far it's just 1 for me, so I'm behind you guys. But
Yeah,
how long did it take for it to go away?
I have one.
It was a while back, couple of years.
I don't have one yet.
So I couldn't tell you. Ook might have records. He keeps that info. So
okay,
yeah,
it's only been I think a day or so. So
yeah, I don't think it was long.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not counting on it being removed because, I think this account was never removed. I presume Morger had reported it, but, it's still there. So. What were you saying, Steve?
Oh no, I was joking about the fact that the more alt accounts they have, the thinner the skin. Alt accounts, either I don't know, but just you got issues.
Yeah, it does. You do kind of have to wonder. They want us to believe that they're these big, strong brains with big, strong ideas, and that they're all tough and mighty, and they talk a big game, and they will tailspin so quickly and so pathetically to the point where they're pretending to be you. They remember that DK has told me, and he's told, what's that? They've
say something, Steve? Did you say something?
Yeah, I did. I was just saying you could set a clock to how to get fast to get triggered.
Oh yeah. They hate us so much that they're starting to impersonate us. That's how much they hate us.
They're not starting. I mean, like
Yeah.
what Blark said, they've done in the past, but they haven't done it for a while. But what was interesting is that they started impersonating me when I didn't post as much. I mean, I usually post, quite a bit a day. Whenever I get a chance to look through the comments, I'll post. But so I hadn't posted for a while just because I've been kind of busy. And then I think because I haven't been giving them attention, they had to actually create an account to fake comments from me.
Yeah, that's what you
So I
call
thought that was
this.
kind of funny.
Go
Yeah,
and invent yourself a
They
fake
can't get enough of
person
you.
so that you can argue with the fake
Yeah.
version.
yeah. And the funny thing is, like,
That's
they're
just so
trying to make it
pathetic.
sound like me. So, they'll bring up the fact that Christians here love spreading their hatred and telling people what they would like to do to gay people. I mean, they've specifically said that they want to unalive gay people like me, when they claim that I'm gay, as well as just atheists in general. So it's such a horrible thing. And yet they're actually like using that as part of this kind of parody of me saying that about them. So they can't even they aren't embarrassed about saying that. So they're gonna keep saying that. But we all know, or I mean, I guess we don't know for sure who it is, but when you have comments like autistic gay atheists, we know that it's a pot, right?
Yeah. When he
Though Donkey has started to pick that up a little bit because he
it's all right.
thinks there's a win in there somehow.
Yeah. But I don't think it's him because, where is it? I can't even catch the one where, because he has like this. The monkey really likes to embarrass himself by thinking calling me gay is a bad thing. I love sniffing Holger's fart box. So, this fake account does embarrass the monkey. So that's why I don't think it's him, because they're, I think this is from a different thread, but the monkey is always interested in gay people, very curious. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's the monkey. It does seem like it's APOD.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah. But you never know with all these guys because they have so many alts. You don't know who's saying what at times.
Yeah, although this was kind of funny. I always knew Goofy's wee wee was nothing more than a kickstand for his arsehole. Like, why does he know that? Or why does he think that he knows that?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
remember a couple weeks back, I was telling him about he needs to see professional help for his intrusive thoughts, and he keeps making posts about his intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like he can't help it, because he constantly like says these things. It's like, I mean, I joke that he's kind of obsessed. He and the monkey are obsessed with gay sex, but I mean, like, when they make this comment as if it's like some kind of I mean, if they're actually making some kind of point outside of them kind of admitting that they're obsessed with gay sex, I mean, it's just bizarre. They're definitely not embarrassed.
They certainly do spend a lot of time thinking and imagining all the sort of details of the process, and you just go, yeah, it doesn't really come up in my day-to-day, minute-by-minute life, really. It just isn't there. But yeah, these guys spend so much time just imagining it, and you just go, well, that tells us something about you.
Yeah, it's like what's that thing? Freudian slip when they Freudian slip is when they intentionally say it. But there's something else that some of the concept that's used for people that talk about something so much to try to hide the fact that they may actually be that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
usually the variation of the quote from Shakespeare. He
Yeah.
thinks the lady doth protest too much.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Um, so what the other kind of interesting thing is, so they went through the trouble of impersonating my account, but the worst that they can say is have me say, quote unquote, admit that I'm gay. And I think in one of the threads they talk about how I admitted I'm HIV positive or not positive. I can't remember which it was, but um, it's like that's the worst thing that they can think of when they have create a fake account, having me say things that they think are bad or embarrassing. So they think that me or my fake account saying I'm gay is like, oh my god, it's so embarrassing. How can I stand that?
Yeah, it's again, if they want to project hypermasculinity from their perspective, hypermasculinity means that you're was it performing your marital obligations with
Yeah.
your wife, and so being gay is so counterthetical that could just be that it's the worst thing that they can think of is to call someone gay because they got called gay too much, maybe? Question mark.
Yeah. They don't have me admitting, oh, I'm autistic, or claiming I'm admitting I'm autistic. So I guess from their kind of list of bad things, gay must be worse than being an autist. And I presume atheism is probably the worst, but why don't they have this fake account say that, hey, I'm an atheist? To them, it's bad, but I mean, for us, if you're
Yeah,
gay, you're gay. It's not, it's not some kind of like horrible,
the thing is,
character.
they assume everyone is on board that it's bad to be gay, but atheists clearly aren't on board that it's bad to be an atheist. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I probably won't be. I mean, I'm not really going to do anything with this. I'm not going to respond to it. I'm going to ignore it for the most part. And, I'd recommend you guys do the same as well. There's no need to, keep giving them oxygen.
Yeah, let them burn themselves out.
Yeah. Yeah. I presume that even if they kind of stop doing it, they're going to essentially come back and every once in a while and bring it back up. Actually, that is kind of weird. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't refresh. But on that tab that I was sharing, it didn't show that I had actually changed my handle. So this was the so I did two things, and it was mostly just so that I'm not getting confused.
Yeah.
So I changed my profile picture just to the mirror image. So mine is actually facing to the left, whereas the faker is, I'm not sure if it's on it's facing to the right. And like I said at the beginning, I changed my YouTube handle to match my channel name, Theist Tap Out. So that should make it a little bit easier, and also it should make it easier for people on the AXP to not have so much trouble pronouncing QC. On last week, for some reason, J Mike was having a tough time figuring out how to pronounce Q in the QC. So this should make it easier for him.
What, you actually got J Mike to give you a shout out?
Oh no, so yeah, so I had I can't remember what was the question of the week. Oh, it was it's actually it was for inappropriate time to say checkmate atheists.
Oh.
So mine got picked, and it's kind of funny because there is a thread where the fake or the alt account for Flojo was kept on saying checkmate, checkmate. But yeah, so my pick, and I didn't think it was the best one that I had submitted of the multiple one for that question, but the inappropriate time to say checkmate atheist is after you orgasm first. I was gonna say come first, but just in case they.
Oh.
So you guys can try that.
You had to kind of tone it down just slightly.
Yeah, I had to do that. But it would be funny, right? After coming first, saying checkmate atheists. So yeah, J Mike had a little trouble with that one. All right, so moving on to the next topic, I wanted to talk about a burden shifting fallacy, and I want to kind of do this where we focus on different informal logical fallacies and discuss that. I wanted to kind of do it as a video, but I think we can just do it here. Yeah, I don't know what happened with Pastor, although that's the other thing that we could talk about. Pastor creating a video where he tagged me, John Clark, and another channel, Kentucky Atheist, which is a little bit bigger channel. And I don't know why he tagged that channel, or I don't know why he actually tagged us either, because the content didn't even specifically mention us. So whatever, but he must be gone.
So strictly speaking, he doesn't name us, but we can surmise that the reason why he created that video is because he was so triggered by the way that he, just absolutely embarrassed himself last week. So it was almost sort of his way. It was almost sort of his way of kind of cleaning it up or self-soothing. That would be my hypothesis.
Isn't it funny though how you get the people can't give the credit for who they're talking about. They've got to keep that disguised. Because I'm not sure if you remember back when Runaway Runny Alexander created a series of videos to attempt to debunk my list of failed prophecies. And he was making a video per each of them, and they were absolutely appalling. And anyhow, but he went to great lengths to avoid mentioning where the list of topics were coming from. He couldn't possibly allow, someone to get credit. I don't know. It's a strange mindset that you can't bring up the other person's name or mention who it is you're referring to.
It's this idea of I think what they're trying to do is show that they're above it, but in fact they're only dragging themselves further down. It's this idea of, I'm making this video and it's totally not about these people over here, even though I'm tagging them. And I'm the big, strong, smart person, even though I can't handle any kind of pushback or follow-up questioning. He has an image in his mind of how smart and important that he is. And he doesn't get challenged in a meaningful way on any regular basis, possibly his entire life. And so coming on and just having a couple of quick questions that make him think that there's just a little bit more of a broader view than his narrow one, he can't handle that. And that's why he flipped out. He clearly has anger management issues. He clearly, isn't used to. He's used to being listened to and respected on his terms, but he's not used to having to give respect on other people's terms.
Yeah, I
but
was
fear
almost.
fear is not respect. So you can, I can be fairly certain that his family doesn't respect him; they fear him.
But in his mind, that's the same
he's
thing.
that type.
Yeah, it might look like
That
respect
seems
on the
like it goes hand
outside.
in hand.
Do you see where
You
you're
can
about to say?
definitely imagine that in like if one of his kids does something he doesn't like, and as soon as they even say anything, that he would just like yell like he did.
Oh yeah.
I was like thinking that for anyone who may have grown up in that kind of household, that it might be actually triggering, just because like the way he just like immediately yelled at you, John. I was like, what is going on?
I was like, oh, okay, he's getting loud.
Yeah,
And the fact that he
I grew up with a stepfather who was borderline personality, who could behave that way, but other times didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a long time gone. So not personally triggering, but it's that behaviour is easy to understand from an insider's perspective.
Yeah, my father was the same way. He wasn't as bad as. But I'm go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So my father he was a good man, but he had a bad temper, and he had some of the. I want to say he's had some of an inferiority complex because he was a short man, and he always thought he had to be the tough guy, just to make himself be heard, to make himself be respected, So he had to have that. There's other things too, but he was just the pastor, not as bad because he can be reasoned with, but he did have instances like that. So I get where I see how, because I experienced myself as well.
Well, and so Miranda's the idea of surely he must have interacted with somebody outside of his family at some point. That's yes and no, because if he's in an isolated enough of a community, or if he's isolated himself enough within his community, he doesn't have to interact with anybody that would challenge him or cause him to think outside of his tiny little bubble.
Well, the fact that he calls himself the pastor, and I think he said he was the master pastor, so you can definitely see sort of the the kind of power play that he plays within his household, because he's not a real pastor, he's a pastor for his family, so that's where he gives himself that title.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Yeah, Master Blaster Pastor. Yeah.
Well,
that's how I look at it.
He certainly showed himself to be, very good at master debating.
Yep, that's right.
So so this is where he put. What was strange was that he had other videos, but he deleted all these, and then this is the first one that he created right after deleting all the other videos. So he likes to be in his I don't know, SUV or minivan when he's making this. So I highly doubt he has a minivan. He would actually have to think about his family to get a minivan. So so then why don't we then go to talking about burden shifting fallacy. So Edith had made this post, claiming that some of the great evidence for God is grounded in modern science. So it seems like he's making a claim that, science is going to provide some, or can provide evidence for God. So when I said that there's not a single scientific citation for the existence of God, the monkey boy, he seems to like to do this a lot, but it's like, okay, where's your citation for the claim, the citation for the claim that there's no citation for the existence of God? It's just a classic burden shift fallacy. So I wanted to talk about this. What's your immediate reaction to the monkey boy doing this? He does this a lot, right?
Well, basically Captain Contrarian, that's for sure. That's all he does. Anytime you say something, he's always got to snap back with what he thinks is a witty comment.
Well, and that go ahead. Sorry.
It's the same as Ed Gain from a month ago, where he demanded that we provide citations for every claim we make. And then when he makes a claim, he's like, I don't have to provide a citation for that. Everybody knows that's true.
Yeah,
go,
that's what it comes down to. You don't need to give there's no need for a specific citation, because all of science supports what I'm saying.
Which means it should be really easy to find one little piece of science that supports your claim if all of it does.
Yeah. I mean, what these guys don't realize is that, there's like science research for the most common things. Things that you take for granted that everyone should know. Things like, why is the sky blue? There is, I'm sure, some paper that talks, and yeah, it's probably about the Rayleigh scattering, but there is a paper about why the sky is blue. So there, it's not just like, oh, it's common sense. If it's, if there's kind of scientific naturalistic explanation of things, there's going to be a citation that you should be able to find.
There was an Ig Nobel Prize for physics one year because they studied the sloshing motion of coffee in a coffee cup. Scientists will research anything.
Yeah.
One of our famous science communicators by the name of Dr. Karl Kruszelnicki got himself an Ig Nobel Prize. It's probably at least 10 years ago now, back when it was relatively early, for studying belly button lint.
Yes.
Are you? Oh, what the?
Yeah.
Oh, the thing is, he's not a scientist per se these days. He's a full-time science communicator. So it was deliberately an off-the-cuff, kind of fun, silly little project. It wasn't like he was at a university studying that. It was just one he decided to do. And yeah, he does have I think he has a doctorate in medicine, and some other stuff as well. But yeah, he wrote it up formally and got it published. And yeah, it's hilarious. So,
yeah, and it's funny, those Ig Nobel
take with pride.
Yeah, those Ig Nobel prizes, they sound funny and all that, but those are actually real, actual serious research.
Yeah, they do genuinely require that they are a research that learns something, like the sloshing of coffee in a cup. That's actually quite an interesting thing because of the way in which the foam on the top of a cappuccino stops it from splashing, which may have applications in the transportation of larger amounts of fluids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But within that thread, he doesn't provide any citation. So sorry, Miranda. I know you must be disappointed.
I'm terribly disappointed as well, Miranda. I'm sure this time he would have like 10 of them just to finally shut us down.
Yeah, this is my surprise face. I was, oh well, back to sinning, I guess.
But I mean, in this case,
Yep,
it
do it all
is
the time, people.
it's not always obvious when the monkey boy does this, where he just kind of turns around everything and say, well, why don't you provide citation for, there being no God or whatever. But in this case, because the idiot here specifically, says that there is great evidence for God grounded in modern science, he took on the burden of having to back up this claim. So he has the burden right here. When I ask for a citation, he has a burden to meet that. And I'm not taking on the burden by saying that there isn't a single scientific citation. And that's what they seem to be always missing. So whenever there's a challenge to provide evidence, they think that the challenge itself somehow takes on a burden, and it doesn't.
No, and it really just kind of comes down to if they're making a claim, basically asking for a citation is just responding with how so, or what makes you think that. It's asking a follow-up question, which is something it's the process of, ironically, it is the process of trying to learn more, and it's the process of vetting the information that comes at that we absorb, that we interact with. And
it applies to atheism in general. And there's a lot of discussions similar to this where basically when an atheist says that, hey, you don't have any evidence for the existence of God, their response is, well, show evidence, or prove your point that there is no evidence, right? That they want an evidence, a proof of the negative.
Like, well, where's the proof that you're not a purple space penguin? Like, I know that's an absurd thing that I will use from time to time, but it's to show the absurdity of what they're saying. It's saying you're saying that we need to prove that there isn't the monster under the bed. Well, no, you have to prove that there is. You're the one claiming that something exists. Therefore, it is up to you to show that it exists.
Right.
And to show how intellectually dishonest they are, I mean, Neppy does this all the time where he says, show me a step-by-step process.
Yep.
The idea, no matter how many steps you show him, he's always going to claim that there's one more step we haven't shown. He's always going to move the goalpost. And they are at least intelligent enough to know that that's what they're doing, because they've been doing this for so long, and they keep getting called out on it, and they keep getting shown specifically what they're saying and what they're doing and how it relates to the burden shifting fallacy, the goalpost shifting fallacy. Each fallacy that they use, it has been illustrated to them multiple times. So they do know what they're doing at this point. Well, so they're either fundamentally dishonest or they're fundamentally incapable of retaining knowledge.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that they're being dishonest, or or maybe they're just ignoring, right, all the kind of responses that people make. I mean, they make the same response. It must just like not register with them, or they're just actively ignoring it.
Right, which goes back to my hypothesis that they're either fundamentally dishonest or fundamentally incapable of retaining anything that, any knowledge or experience.
Yeah, and
and
that's
like
why
both.
Yeah, it could be both.
That's true.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason why they also kind of create this like fake definition of atheism.
Yeah.
So they just assume the hard atheism that no God exists. Here in this thread, Blarg was kind of pointing that out, and the classic shifting the burden fallacy, demonstrate no God exists. Right? Because I mean, the thing is, like, they can't provide anything that actually backs up their point that a God exists. And so this is really kind of the best that they can do to, shift that burden and say that the atheists have the burden of proving that God doesn't exist.
Which
I have a. Sorry, go on.
no, I was gonna say you go ahead.
Sorry, say again.
Go
ahead,
Go
Mark.
ahead. You start. You were first.
Okay. I've got a standard response to this sort of behaviour that I haven't used in a little while, but it discusses a person making a claim that they have a pet whale in their pool. And you ask any normal person would find that quite an extraordinary claim and would ask for evidence. And if the person starts dodging and ducking and coming up with excuses why you have to prove they don't have a whale in their pool, they definitely don't have a whale in their pool.
Right.
And you can be confidently an a-whaleist.
Yes. It
Well,
shows
but do you have a citation that proves that you don't have a whale?
Oh, you got me.
So you're telling me that the whale has not been cited?
Not by anyone.
Yeah. But it goes to show that fundamentally they know that they're in the weaker position. If they really did think that they had the evidence, if they had the stronger position, their personality and their pathology would suggest that they would be the first ones to loudly, boldly, and obnoxiously cite their evidence over and over again.
Yes,
But
I quite enjoy citing evidence because you just go, oh, you think that's true? Here's some evidence that says it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Like DK's whole avatar is based on the idea that he's the smartest person in the comment section. And
we have evidence that he's wrong. So
well, yes. I have cited
and his
him.
posts.
I have cited him to himself, proving that he is wrong, and he cannot accept anything other than always being right all the time.
Yeah.
But that's how we know. That's how they know. That's how we know, and that's how they know that they are in a position of weakness because they keep trying to take the attention away from themselves. They want the attention, but as soon as they get the attention, they try to divert away and shift it back to us.
Yeah.
I had a good one just recently with a person talking about the Big Bang. The Big Bang says that the universe began. Big Bang theory says that the universe began. Therefore, because it began, then it must have had something to begin it. And I'm like, nope. The Big Bang theory says nothing of the kind. A simplified children's version of the Big Bang says such a thing, but the actual Big Bang theory only talks about it from the point at which the universe began to inflate. From then on till now, yes, it has nothing to say whatsoever about what happened before that, or even whether before is a meaningful concept. And they're like, "Well, that's not true." And you go, "Well, go and have a look in even Wikipedia does not say that the Big Bang says anything about the universe beginning. It's just not there in the entire detailed Wikipedia page, which I found actually quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think APOD also kind of made a similar thing, and he was citing, quote unquote, citing like a Scientific American article where it was talking about the Big Bang, and like a lot of sort of science news articles, it wasn't. It was kind of fast and loose with usage of words, but it said something like how the universe began with the Big Bang, and he took that as some demonstration that scientists are saying that the universe actually started at the moment that the Big Bang started. So it's hard to argue with these guys when they are so ignorant of science and yet they think they know the science.
The thing is, the universe may have began at the moment the Big Bang began, but the Big Bang theory has no comment to make about that because we don't know anything before the point at which inflation began. We have no theories. We have no mathematics. Maybe once we get a theory of quantum gravity, we'll then be able to solve that. Or maybe the guy from Wolfram and his actually the guy who's doing all the work with their hypergraphs will have a solution that to the problem. But at the moment, we don't have any mathematics or anything resembling a theory of what that beginning looked like, or whether there was even a beginning at all. Just we know inflation started, and it could have been inflation from a tiny point within an existing universe, and essentially our universe is just squidging the other universe out of the way.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we have no evidence.
Inside a bubble. We don't know. We have no clue about the rest of it.
I was watching
multiple theories of how to of our universe. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Siva.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Okay,
I'll
just say we have multiple different theories of our universe. Like, is it singular, multiverse? We have so many different ways. So, we don't know until we figure, like Blark said, until we have some kind of unified theory that helps us explain it. Then we don't know. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I was watching. Yeah, I was watching. To that point, I was watching an old Forrest Valkai video earlier this week, and he put it very well, as he is often wont to do. Even if you take he was talking about evolution, but I'll use the analog here. Even if you take the Big Bang off the table, even if you could prove that it is completely wrong, that does nothing to prove that your God exists and is responsible for the creation of the universe. You still have the burden of proof to show that your claim is accurate. And that is the fatal flaw in the arguments that DK makes, that Jim Edith makes, Pastor, all of them, is that even if you prove all of science wrong, if you wipe the slate clean, all you've done is wipe the slate clean. 0 does not equal 1.
Yeah.
And I've had that running through my head. I've had that running through my head ever since he said that 0 does not equal 1.
Makes sense.
Okay.
What I was about to say was, like you said, if we wipe the slate clean, I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm sorry. Like you said, you can. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Okay. No worries, man.
Yeah.
And they still kind of continue to bring it up,
human.
as if it is actually going to be an argument for their God. So I mean, you can't stop them.
Well, it's not a question of stopping them. Again, it's not. It's never really necessarily about getting them to change their mind. It's making sure that the people that are listening to them are also able to see that there is more to knowledge, and there's more to the subject, and there's more to learn than just the narrow view that they're trying to put forth. They want to think that they're special. They want to think that God exists, and that God created reality for them. They want to be the center of the universe. It is both an egotistical and ego-fragile position to be in simultaneously. Miranda said Miranda said they can't handle "we don't know." Well, that's because from their
they think that they know, right?
Yeah.
They think that they know, and the thing is, like, the only thing that they know is God done it, but
right.
it is such I mean, you can't do anything with that. I mean, it's not like we can create a better technology or get a better understanding of, how the universe works from a God done it. It gives us nothing. So there isn't, I mean, they are not replacing a we don't know with actual information, with actual knowledge. They're just replacing it with a claim. Yeah, God did it, and we have no idea how it was done, or anything of the mechanisms or anything like that. We just know that it was done.
I was also going to add a comment to Miranda's earlier one, that sometimes absence of evidence is evidence of absence. And certainly if, for example, you have a theory that says, or a hypothesis that says, you should find a thing underneath this rock, and you go and have a look underneath that rock and it's not there, then your hypothesis is wrong. And the absence of the evidence is evidence of absence.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, like, there's this kind of a bit of an equivocation on, what proof is, what knowledge is, etc. Because what, the response to someone saying that evidence or absence of evidence is not an evidence of absence is to, bring up the black swan fallacy. That just because you haven't seen evidence of something, it doesn't mean that, we aren't going to have that evidence, or we're going to have the evidence sometime in the future. And that's fine. So, because the atheist position is that it's not, it's just that there's no evidence of God. If there is evidence of God in the future, an atheist isn't going to say, well, I said there isn't going to be evidence, so I'm not going to even consider your evidence, because the atheist will consider that evidence. And if it turns out that we're wrong, we're no longer an atheist. That's all it is. So we can't, up until that time where they provide the evidence, it's perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable to say that we have no evidence, and therefore we should not be pretending that this supernatural being exists, and that's the reason why we should take away women's right for an abortion.
Yeah, I want to make a point about how, like, with the theism, just in general. Well, most established Western theisms like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, the basis for that is really fear of the unknown. Fear, like, if you don't believe, then you have to follow because we know the truth. And, like, it's egocentric, and it's just like, and it's the fact that that's how they control people, and that's why this keeps propagating, because they know that people are not have this fear of the unknown, and that's what drives them to be able to do what they can do.
Well, sure, because the world, the reality existing is hard. There are all of these things that happen. We have no control over them, but they have all this control over us. The Nile floods. Sometimes there's rain when I don't want it to rain. Sometimes the animals move when I don't want them to move. And if I don't understand the underlying dynamics of why the weather is what it is, why the Nile floods, why animals move in migrations, if I don't understand those things, but my survival is dependent on my being able to respond to these things, then it makes sense to take that lack of knowledge and try to fill in those gaps with a God. But as QC said earlier, that doesn't get you anywhere. You are no smarter for having done that. And so that's where the benefit, if there is any, to religion and to faith, that's the beginning and the end of the benefit there. So, okay, the universe is out to get me. Well, God is on my side, and either God is going to change it to my benefit, or I have heaven to look forward to. But you haven't done anything to improve your situation. All you've done is make
it's
yourself
definitely
yeah.
understandable, the fear of death, fear of what happens after you die. And, by itself, it's not an issue or a problem that you kind of come up with the story that after you die, you're going to, go to some afterlife where it's paradise, and that you somehow know that you're definitely going to go there and not the other place. It's fine to have that belief if that's what's going to kind of let you sleep at night, so to speak. But the problem is when you take that and extend that to say that you have to enforce or have other people confirm your belief for you, because of course it's scary that you might be wrong. So more people, agree with you. Maybe they think it's more likely that they're right. But they want to then use that to say, well, because of this belief, my morality is absolute. I'm absolutely correct, and gays are an abomination, and abortion, is killing babies. That's where the problem occurs, right? When you extend it to outside of you, and then of course when you use politics to then push for policies that actually impact people who don't believe the same thing that you do.
I also see
And I think that's
not
what I was
just
trying to get at. Yeah, thank you.
Not just the fear of
I'm good.
death, but fear of adulthood. When you're a kid, you're for most people, your parents are there. They're continually telling you how special you are and how much you're loved, and so on and so on and so on. But then you get to adulthood, and that kind of goes away, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't feel special anymore. I'm not being told this all the time. So you replace your parents with a proxy father figure who you can imagine tells you you're special all the time. Yes, he has a plan for you, and it's all good, and it'll all be wonderful. And you just go, oh, fuck's sake, grow up.
Remember, if you are a 1 in a million personality, that means that there are 8,000 other people on the planet just like you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shocker, eh?
Yeah. I was the fastest kid in the world until I got to gym class.
Yeah.
And you know what? And when I learned that
I was the smartest. Go ahead.
I was going to say when I found out that
I was just going to make a joke. Go ahead.
When I found out that I wasn't the fastest kid in the world anymore, I joined track so that I could see how fast I could run. That's the distinction with theists is, I'm not special. Wait, yes, I am. It's just this position of weakness that you have to externalize the control of your life. That you don't take. That's what I find so ironic about this claim of morality that Jim Edith and DK and all the others keep making. It's that their external lotus of power means that they've outsourced their morality. They don't take responsibility for anything because it's all up to their God. It's not
Yes, and
them.
as a result, literally anything you think your God has told you to do is fine. Doesn't matter how awful it makes you feel. You go, oh, just lead this family over into that concrete bunker, will you? No problem. Yeah. God
I
said
think
to
this
do
might be a topic that we can discuss next time, because I mean it is something that I do want to talk about and go into a little bit in depth with what I think is the Christian, especially the Christian understanding of what their morality is, since the Edith won't ever actually come out and tell us about how exactly his objective morality works. We might as well just try to have that discussion without him. So since we have about 30 minutes left, so let's shift over to the last topic, which is about the idea of the kind. And Blarg, I presume this is in relation to the creationist story when they talk about the kind of animals that are put into a Noah's Ark.
Yeah, well, I think it was Neil had a little comment pop up asking if someone's come up with a definition for kind yet to one of the trolls, and that got me sort of thinking about the problem that they have and how it's absolutely impossible for them to give a definition. So the example I looked at was cat kind. Seeing we're talking about cats, that works out quite well. It should be fairly straightforward. Cats are cats. Everyone knows what we're talking about if you say cat kind. You'd assume what they're talking about is little kitten, household cats, all the way through to lions, tigers, panthers, and so on. And you just go, well, fair enough. But the problem you get there is there's only 41 species in that grouping of all known cats who could reasonably be called cat kind. And based upon the number of species in the of animals in the world, you need to reduce the number by far more than a factor of 40, which is what you do if you just go along and say, oh, well, cat kind is those things. So you reduce by 40, you still have far too many animals to fit on the ark. So you just go along and say, okay, well, we'll move it up to the next level of the hierarchy, where there's about a bit over 100, I think 110 in the next category up. The problem you've got there, though, is that now all of a sudden you don't have things that are obviously cat. You have hyenas and mongoose. And you just go, is anyone going to consider a hyena or a mongoose to be a cat? They are definitely members of the suborder that includes cats, but they're not what any Christian would be comfortable calling a cat. A meerkat is actually a member of the cat group, ironically. But that only still gets you down by a factor of 100. It's still not enough. So if you're thinking there's maybe 1 million species of animals, divided by 100, you still got 10,000 different species of animals on the ark, and that's where you have the massive problem that they have there as well. Because, for example, the San Diego Zoo, which is it's a behemoth as far as zoos go, and they only have was it 600 species, something in that vicinity? 680 species, and somewhere in the vicinity of 12,000 total animals. But only 680 species, and they've got a workforce of a directly employed workforce of over 10,000 people needed to keep those animals alive. And then there's an upstream of all the supply to provide the meat for all the carnivores, and the bamboo for the pandas, and all the rest of that. So the idea that even if you could reduce it down to a few thousand species, 8 people can't keep a few thousand species alive. So you basically end up having to go just about all the way up to just about the kingdom level in order to get it to a size that you can get, at which point no one's going to accept that explanation of a kind, so they're boned no matter how they go, if that makes any sense.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
It does.
You can't use kind to get out of the problem of the ark. Just can't. So they have to leave it vague, and therefore, you just go, oh well, it's only talking about kinds, and now let's never speak of this again.
Yeah, so I have on the
That's
screen
the usual mode.
the different levels of taxonomy, starting from species to genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, domain. And in some of these, they're kind of like subgroups, right? Subfamilies, suborders, etc. But these are the major ones. And Miranda put up a comment that I was going to make where she says, Gusset Gibbon says, kind usually seems to fall at the family level, except when it doesn't. Kind really just means whatever Ken Ham wants it to. And that's what I see the creationists do. They go up and down this, these classifications as it's convenient for them. So they'll say cat kind, but then they'll say fish kind or a bird kind, right? Or, they could even say house cat kind, so whatever is, makes sense for them and makes sense in their kind of their idea of, kind of informal ways of classifying animals is kind of what they would do. So if they see a fox, they'll say it's a fox kind. And, what's his name? Who's the guy that runs the creation park?
Ken Hovind?
Yeah, Ken Hovind, right? He'll say, well, a fox kind will give only birth to a fox kind. It's like, so it's just a matter of determining which level you're going to discuss and then calling it a kind for that particular animal that you're talking about. But then when you go to a different animal, you might be talking at the order level or the genus level. So
yeah, but the problem is foxes. There's only a few different species of foxes. So you divide it up by the fox kind, you're never going to get able to reduce the number of kinds sufficiently to be able to fit them on a boat, no matter how big you make the damn thing.
Yeah, but that only is the case if they stay consistent at that level, at that taxonomic level. Like I said, they're just going to go all over.
And then you've got the question, okay, elephant kind? Does that include rhinoceroses?
Yeah.
Does it include the woolly mammoths? Because they definitely existed.
Right, along with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Okay, along with that.
Does it include all the different dinosaur kinds? Were they on there as well?
Where does it even end?
Yeah. You could just go through and ask about the different. You could just create a list of animals, and you just go, okay, is that a reasonable kind? Is that a reasonable kind? Is that a reasonable kind? And suddenly end up with a list of animals far too large to have been looked after by 8 people.
And Aran Ra makes this point whenever he starts talking about evolution after the ark, because
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you don't believe in Darwinian evolution, okay, but you're going to believe in this super mega ultra hyper fast evolution, because that's the only way you get from
Not evolution.
yeah,
That's adaptation. Get it right.
Yeah, right.
Yes, adaptation. Because that's basically the argument. You're able to walk to the corner, but you can't walk to the next suburb.
Yeah.
Because reasons.
Because reasons. And not to
some
mention
big
the fact
brain
that
thinking there.
Yeah, even if you accept the idea that there was, let's say you lock down the definition of kind, which you can't do. Blarg, you just very eloquently laid out why that's impossible. But even if you can lock down the definition of kind, there is no animal that doesn't go extinct if there's only two of them. That's well below the critical rate of failure for any species. There's a rate at which all species, because of growth rates, because of maturity rates, and because of the time it takes to create, to impregnate and to give birth to the next generation of that creature, that process rate has a threshold. You need to have a certain amount in existence. Otherwise, when you go below that number, they will eventually just die out and go extinct.
I don't know how true that is, that you would necessarily die out. I mean, I think a lot of it will kind of depend on the type of animals. I would imagine for larger, more complex animals, that might be the case. But if you get to some animals that are essentially like, making offsprings every, couple months, and each litter is like 20 or whatever, they're definitely not going to have the genetic diversity. So I like to say that, all those are essentially just one bad disease away from extinction. But I think it's potentially possible that, you could start with one breeding pair that could, over time, get to a relatively large population, assuming no disaster occurs.
That has to be the case because, for example, the way in which you get species travel across large gaps via rafting, there can't be on that raft. There can't be enough organisms to. You can't have like 150 tortoises on the raft that made it from South America to the Galapagos Islands in order to create a safe group. So you've got to end up with your fingers crossed that they don't get some disease that will wipe a whole lot of them out early on, and then they develop enough diversity over, hundreds of thousands, millions and millions of years to avoid that situation. The same thing sort of happened with marsupials in Australia, that they all must have come from a really small breeding population. But it certainly is ridiculous to think every organism did that, and we can have a look at the DNA of organisms and see that it's not true. For example, the variation in humans is quite small. It's like 0.1% variation between the width of humans. If you have a look, we're about 98% similar to chimpanzees, but chimpanzees are less than 98% similar to other chimpanzees. So chimpanzees have an enormous genetic variation within that species, whereas humans don't, which demonstrates that we went through a genetic bottleneck at some point, which makes us fairly susceptible to widespread disease that chimpanzees might be able to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely.
Do you know what they fed? Do you know what they fed all the animals on the ark?
Uh-oh.
The God donut.
Lord.
The God donut.
Oh. Oh.
Okay. Tilting thought that was good. Oh, maybe that was something else.
Yeah, no. Miranda was saying now now they're imagining a population of rabbits inbred to the point of the Habsburgs, and I responded, "Don't you mean the Habsburgs?"
Oh, okay.
That
So
technically that's how you
that
pronounce
was
them.
good. That was good. All right.
Sometimes, every once in a while, I come this close to being clever.
Did you just make that up, or did you actually hear that?
No, literally, just on the spot.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you.
So that is pretty good.
Thank you.
We all have our moments.
All right. So I think maybe we can end it early here. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring up?
No.
I don't think so. There was a lot going on this week, other than just those couple of things. Partly, I suppose, because we decided to not engage so much with the trolls. Maybe they're right that without the trolls, we're nothing. Oh no!
No!
Oh my god!
I do want to say, was it you, Blarg, that called me out like within a couple of hours after last week's, because I was engaging with one of the trolls, and I didn't realize it at first, and you're like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" And I was like, "You know what? That's I've claimed ignorance. That's my bad." And from that point forward, I would just refer to them in the third person. So
yeah, that was the new account for iPod.
Yeah.
So that was Theosis. Remember, he had the account Apotheosis. So
yes.
it was fairly easy to spot him.
Well, I mean, I think you guys are sometimes responding directly to them. That I've seen.
Yeah,
I know I'm guilty of that with the pastor.
I do talk a little bit with Apot when he's actually talking about substance and not just being offensive, whereas Donkey's pretty well just given up on anything and just goes with full offensiveness, so I don't bother with him anymore at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and that might be kind of a way to us to sort of modulate their behavior if we give them a response when they are actually making a point, but not when they're kind of, going off on their, gay sex obsession. So I think that's a good point. But I mean, I think I should just remind everyone here on the live chats as well that, I think the best course of action for us is to just ignore what they're doing, except in the case that, as we mentioned, if they bring up a actual point. But all the other stuff, I think we have to kind of, remove the oxygen.
Yeah.
If they want to
create a new account.
What was that?
If they actually want to stop, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, QC. What you're talking about in game theory is referred to as tit for tat. Yeah, no, it's an actual strategy in game theory. It's the idea that you start off with a collaborative mindset with the other participant, but when they become adversarial, you're adversarial proportionately back, and then when they go back to the positive behavior that you want to reinforce, or that you or more collaborative, then you are collaborative back. So that it does, and it's in game theory, it's been shown that process actually does result in a better outcome for both participants in the model. So as we go forward, when they are actually when they are actually trying to have a conversation, even if they immediately go back to their old ways, reinforcing and being positive back to them when they are positive will at least show those that are watching that it is possible to be constructive in the comment section.
Yeah, we have to be the ones that set the example from here on out.
Yeah, it's basically training them to behave. Can I take a slight aside for a little fun piece of research I heard about this week?
Sure.
To do with training.
Yeah, go ahead.
You've seen the clicker that you can use to help train dogs. You can use a little click sort of a thing to let a dog know that they've done something right and that they will get a treat.
Yeah.
Apparently, some research was done recently with doctors, and was able to use clickers to help train doctors better. And it wasn't just a small effect; it was a significant effect. Their rate of training improved significantly.
Yeah, at least they know when they're doing right and doing wrong. That's for sure.
That's hilarious. Like there was some tests they had to perform, and in the group that got the click training, all 12 of them got it perfectly correct, and only 4 in the other group. And you just go, wow, that is huge. So yes, click training works on people too.
Ooh, boy, the applications for that is astounding.
Can you imagine trying to train your wife? You just go, now, love.
Oh, I'm glad
I'm help you learn a thing.
I'm glad Luke is not here. That would have been a crazy conversation.
So I don't know if any of you guys watched The Big Bang Theory, but there's a little scene from there where Sheldon is training one of the other Penny.
Yes.
So I put a link in the comments. Take a look. I don't want to show it here just in case I get called on copyright. But yeah, take a look. It's kind of funny. Sheldon is just kind of surreptitiously training Penny. So
I'll check that out.
With chocolates, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
Sorry, I enjoyed that little one so much. I thought I'd share it when I remembered it.
That is going to make me smile. I gotta hunt that. Can you send a link to the article, because I'd love to read that.
I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, put it in the comments.
Will do. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I would be interested to see it. But go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just gonna close. But
no, I'll just make a quick comment. It's not a big deal. Go ahead.
No.
I was just saying, I forgot already. Again, man, my brain does not work. Maybe I need that drink to help my brain.
All right, maybe you can remember for next week, but we will end the stream here. So thank you guys for coming on, and I'm sorry we wasn't able to make it this week, so we definitely miss having him here. And as always, thank you for those of you in the live chats. You guys always add to our discussion, so I really appreciate it. So I'll end it from here, and hopefully we'll have more fun from these impersonating accounts. And as always, I'll see you guys all in the comments.